Welcome to the past, where you'll get information related to sports, video games, technology, music, and our all-time favorite ass of the week. What is up? What's good? How's everyone doing? I'm your host, BT. We're here with episode 200 of The Past. Hope everyone's week or weekend has been good. Not gonna lie to y'all, there's a lot of information to digest and share. I'll be the first to admit my episode 200 plan didn't go foolproof as expected, but I'll get into that later on. Before I do that, because I am going to talk about the 200, I'm going to give it 200 attention and just kind of talk about that later on. But I will say this, because I posted this on Instagram and Twitter, and some people read it and gave feedback and discussions, and that was appreciated. But I'll go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. Today, as many of you know, is August the 6th. Normally in August, I do podcasts every day in August. I did decide to push the podcast every day in August back a month to September, only because anyone who knows me knows I'm all about good content, and I will personally take good content over rushed content. So with that being said, there's no point in me rushing to give you all daily quick shows in the process of me kind of going through my own personal transition with work and with life, and just kind of getting an idea of when and how to do recordings. But I wanted to make sure I let everyone know that I will be still doing my shows in September for every day. I did record today on Monday. I feel, looking at scheduling and just kind of how the routine has come together, Monday, Sunday will probably be when recordings occur based on as long as my schedule is consistent. If I don't record by Tuesday or Wednesday, be concerned. And I'll just leave it at that. But I wanted to at least get those salutations and icebreakers out of the way before we go any further with the show. Because there's a lot that does or doesn't occur behind the scenes that a lot of people may or may not know about, but that's just kind of the way podcasting goes. So with that being said, since we are on episode 200, I will go ahead and talk about the angel number 200. The angel number 200 symbol has 3 digits, 2 and 2 zeros. Number 2 is the number of duality. It signifies the power of twinning in your life. This means that different forces are coming together to create a bigger force in your life. You will find meaning in partnerships. Relationships will help you use them to attain your goals. You need to identify relationships that make you excel and invest in them. Spend your time with people who are focused on achieving their dreams. You will have no choice but to be focused on your own. You need to cultivate qualities of diplomacy, cooperation, and balance. The number 0 in angel number 200 symbolism is the number of eternity. It signifies the never-ending cycle of life and the continuous flow of energy. The number 0, your lucky number, is repeated twice to show the strong cycle of energies flowing in your life. You have to be keen enough to realize that your spirit guides have provided you with all you need to conquer your journey. The angel number 200 meaning asks you to seek to grow your spirituality and always listen to your inner voice. It often speaks quietly during the roaring storms of confusion and doubts. Believe in your capabilities and talents. They were deposited in you to assist you. Your journey was created even before you were born. Therefore, you were meant to be a conqueror even before you set out to conquer. All right. So this one is good because I have seen, and I think a lot of my friends who personally know me have noticed that many of my quotes and a lot of my inspiration has changed, but it's changed for good reason. And to elaborate on that a little bit, normally am spending a lot of time just posting thoughts and posting quotes as is. I deal with energy, and I deal with people based on energies and vibes now. And I know that's kind of like not really a bailout, but it's just my way of confronting and addressing those around me without there being a lot of tension or hostility. So I know how to approach people, and I know how to be approachable in that whole bit. And that makes it, for me personally, a lot easier. Now, I'm not going to say that's going to be the case for everybody, but from my perspective, it's been able to kind of consistently make the flow a lot easier, I guess is the best way to put it. So if you, and this is for anybody, if you're dealing with someone or dealing with something and the energy just is not there, don't fool yourself. Because by fooling yourself, you're making something seem like what it's not. And then you call yourself becoming invested in it when in reality, you're really not invested. And that's people, and that's life. I know from personal experience, I've tried times of investing time in people, and the investment wasn't worth it, let alone the energy wasn't worth it, because the energy wasn't equal. And there are moments that you can feel that the energy may be equal, but it really isn't. And that, like I said, those are topics that you will possibly hear about in podcasts every day in September. But we're going to go ahead, as we do each week. The playoff seedings, or the playoffs, are practically a couple of weeks away. Actually, we're a little over a week away from playoffs. There's one more week of Big Three basketball this coming Friday. But to update the current standings, Tri-State did go ahead and lock their spot up. So you have Tri-State, Threes Company, Power, and the Three-Headed Monsters. Those will be your teams that we'll be keeping our eye on and looking to see what they're looking to do in the playoffs. As an early prediction, I would have said the Three-Headed Monsters without a doubt. With Rashard Lewis out for the remainder of the season, it's kind of anybody's game. If I really were to take a good guess, Corey Maggette, as long as he's healthy, you can't really fight anything against Power at all. With the other matchups, the Killer Threes lost to Tri-State. Power beat Three-Headed Monsters, which gave Three-Headed Monsters their first loss of the season. And Trilogy lost to the Ball Hogs. And in the fourth game, Three's Company was able to beat Ghost Ballers, which Ghost Ballers kind of has been on a decline most of the season. So that's just kind of been like the overall look of the Big Three as a whole. Sticking to basketball, we have a big but small merger, and I'll break this down and we'll talk about it like we always do. But the NBA and the WNBA, I want to make sure I add that as well. I did get a deal in place with MGM as far as being a gaming partner. So the NBA has become the first major U.S. sports league to partner with a sports book operator as legal wagering begins to expand into new states. On Tuesday, Commissioner Adam Silver announced that the league struck a deal that makes MGM Resorts the exclusive official gaming partner of the NBA and WNBA. MGM also receives the right to use league highlights, logos, and a direct data feed from the NBA that will be used to help fuel the company's growing sports betting footprint. Industry sources pegged the deal to be for 3 years and at least $25 million. Silver said that teaming up with the NBA will give MGM an edge over its competitors and produce a superior experience for customers. And it's more information. Like I said, I'm not going to read this A to Z because the main gist of it is this is a partnership that you should see coming, especially if you're looking at just your major sports of football, baseball, and basketball. Basketball pulling the trigger on this first is big. And I'm gonna throw shots, but be transparent on all accounts of this. The NFL right now is dealing with more off-field issues than on-field issues. let that sink in for a second, understand what's going on, and be mindful of realizing getting into gambling will just heighten their challenge of anything being bigger than the shield. With the NBA, no one can care less of what's bigger than the logo, because what's bigger than the logo is the players. The NBA has always been a player-based sport. You have teams, but it's more player-dominated. Like, if you were to ask anybody now about who they're fans of, more people are fans of players than of teams. The team side of it is where the gambling part comes in, because if you're looking at, say, LA, LeBron going to LA, or Golden State stacking their squad up more, that factors into how people are going to gamble based on the sport, along with how series and how matchups can turn out between teams along the way. So this is something to look at down the line. This is going to be a huge bridge between sports and gambling, primarily the NBA, or primarily basketball as a whole. Now, one part that wasn't mentioned and I'm looking at is, will the G League be involved in this? That's a up in the air discussion, but that's something to look at adding. If you're factoring in that the NBA and the WNBA are part of it, the G League is part of the NBA, so they should be able to fill or fit in for those voids as well. Sticking to basketball, we have I don't really know if I'm giving us a story that's really an attention seeker, but it occurred, so we'll talk about it, because it's ironic when it comes to sports or basketball, where big names are at events, or people are at events who are known or affiliated with big names. But there was continuation of drama between Draymond Green and Tristan Thompson. The backstory, if you went back to the playoffs of this year, I believe it was game 1, where Tristan Thompson and Draymond Green kind of got into a little bit of a scuffle with each other, where they kind of locked up. There weren't any punches thrown, but it kind of led to a lot of tension that generated to what occurred at the ESPN Awards, which I'll talk about that now, or the ESPYs. I don't know what I'm calling the ESPN Awards. LeBron James and Kevin Durant reportedly played peacemakers during an altercation between Tristan Thompson and Draymond Green last month. Per The Athletic's Marcus Thompson II, Thompson gave Green a face mush during James SB's after party on July 18th, when other NBA players, including James and Durant, got between the two stars to calm the situation. Thompson and Green went at it during the 2018 NBA Finals between the Cavs and the Warriors. After Thompson was ejected from the Cavs' overtime loss in Game 1, he shoved the ball into Green's face after the Warriors star began clapping right in front of him. When the Warriors swept Cleveland with a 108-85 win in Game 4, Green refused to shake hands when Thompson approached him on the court. He tried to shake my hand. I said, "Tristan, we ain't cut the same," Green said during the NBC Sports Bay area broadcast during the parade for Golden State. One source at the party told Marcus Thompson the Cavs center hit Green with a sucker punch. After the situation was calmed down by James, Durant, and others, Green and Thompson had no other issues during the party. So this is a story that's getting an eye, but it's not getting much attention. But it was mainly that these two had a scuffle, which is continuing over. This is kind of the new, I don't even want to say the Embiid Green, because Joel Embiid really doesn't bother with anybody more so through Twitter than he does physically, because he's kind of more of a showman of what he does. Tristan Thompson blatantly just doesn't like Draymond Green. And this is shown over the playoff series through the years. But I think this year it kind of was just, it was just bad timing, bad blood. Especially if you factor in how tough it was for Cleveland to even get one game in the series. A lot of people, the series is long done and over with, but a lot of people feel like if Cleveland had at least one game won, quote unquote, it would have been a series. But as we always say with sports, we'll never know. Yesterday, and I guess it's kind of transpired starting from Thursday up until now. We had the Hall of Fame game, which then led to the enshrinement and those being inducted into the Hall of Fame for the NFL. And I'll name off everyone who was inducted and kind of give some brief cliff notes of what occurred. And we'll just kind of roll with it from there. 8 men joined football royalty on Saturday night, and this was on Saturday night yesterday, with their induction into the Hall of Fame. The celebration wasn't limited in Canton, Ohio. In Canton, Ohio, T.O. had his own ceremony in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is where he played, where he grew up and he played football. Ray Lewis did a 33-minute speech. Brian Dawkins gave a very inspirational message. Urlacher paid tribute to his mom. Speeches were full of emotion, and it kind of broke down how each speech and each discussion kind of went. They pointed out that Ray Lewis was the first to use a wireless mic during his speech. During the Hall of Fame, in Hall of Fame history, that was the first. Randy Moss was, very proud of his hometown being from West Virginia. He also, they donned him with the cornrows, which I think was good. If you look at his time in Minnesota, I mean, what was there bad to say about him as a player? I mean, I think his game against Dallas was kind of like his breakout game. And if I'm remembering correctly, that was a Thanksgiving game. He did give credit to Al Davis and the Raiders organization for the year he had there. Some Raiders fans weren't too pleased about that, obviously, based on how it ended, but, it is what it is. Brian Dawkins, he came out very, very creative. Like, he crawled out first to kind of give like that get hype, get excited. Going back to Ray Lewis, I didn't see it personally, but I know Ray Lewis more than likely did his famous introduction where he, does his little dance when he was on field. And he was also able to get, helping the Ravens get 2 Super Bowls. Pretty big deal. But Brian Dawkins did come out with a very emotional message, and he did open up about depression, which and I'm segueing away from the story here, but I'm going to say this because it's important. Depression is real. And I'm being schooled about this personally with people that I know, being subliminal in messages. And I'm not being subliminal in saying this on my podcast. I'm just talking in general. If you need help or if you need to talk to somebody, reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to somebody. Because, and I know a lot of times reaching out isn't the easy thing to do, but if you also know someone's going through it, check on them. Say hi. Make sure they're okay. Sometimes that little check-in or nudge on the shoulder makes people feel good, and we sometimes fail to realize that. They showed a picture as far as Moss taking a picture with Belichick and Robert Kraft with New England, because he did play in New England. Brian Urlacher wanted to be clear about his backstory, that he didn't have a silver spoon. I'm trying to think of any other players. Jerry Kramer was inducted. Bobby Bethard was inducted. Robert Brazil was inducted. So you had those 7 individuals who were at the Hall. And then you had Terrell Owens. Now, if I said Terrell Owens, then my bad. Y'all know I'm not doing it right. But Terrell Owens being T.O. did it T.O.'s way. And he decided it was better for him to not be at the Hall of Fame. He did it more of an intimate, at home with family and friends, those who were close to him, kind of giving a speech there. He pointed out a lot of dedication and devotion from his mom, as well as his grandmother. He got very emotional with his grandmother being a key part of his growth. His mom even brought up the fact of, even if he had not made the Hall of Fame, he was still a Hall of Fame in her eyes, which, I mean, that's what's important. T.O. didn't like how he got treated. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit, because it's very important to look at. T.O. played the game. He played the game to his max. No one liked how T.O. did things because T.O. was T.O. And it's tough to look at this from a football perspective like this, but it's something you have to look at as a fan, but also as a sports viewer. Fans place expectations on people. Writers place expectations on people. Are either of those fair? Absolutely not. But it's done on a daily and consistent basis. That being the case, if your time comes of, hey, this is a possibility of being inducted to the hall, blah, 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 it's not really seen or observed as, hey, this guy played pretty good football. It's, well, he didn't do this right. Or he celebrated very, obnoxiously, or whatever the case may be with football. I don't recall right offhand because I don't have it in front of me, but Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, or whatever, I'm not sure if he's even in the hall yet, because it's kind of almost I don't want to say a popularity contest, but it's more or less who or how the sport or how the event embraces you, I guess is the nicest way to put it. I don't know. I'm kind of like that on the fence type of person when it comes to how they treat players when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Because okay, so he did make the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, I had to double check. But it's a lot of it is, well, that was very loud and random. I don't even know what it was. I'm gonna read a part of the article, and this will kind of explain it a little bit because I'm just kind of running my mouth a little bit with this story. There's been a lot of speculation and false reports as to why I chose not to be there, Owens said of the Canton, Ohio-based hall. I would like to set the record straight. It's not because of how many times it took me to be voted to the hall. It's about the mere fact that sports writers are not in alignment with the mission and the core values of the Hall of Fame. Owens, using the common theme, "This is for you," while thanking his supporters, addressed about 3,000 family members, friends, and fans inside McKenzie Arena. The crowd included Owens' mother, former San Francisco 49ers teammates Derek Dees and Marquez Pope, former Cincinnati Bengals teammates Kyrie Hebert, and two of his former NFL position coaches, Ray Sherman and Larry Kirksey. Sherman presented Owens with his Hall of Fame jacket, brought to town by a friend who traveled in from Canton. Owens became emotional about his mother and late grandmother. He said his mother lifted his spirits when he was bypassed by the Hall of Fame twice. Like I said, and it just kind of goes into a little bit more. It's like I said before, it's basically T.O. doing it T.O.'s way. You can't knock him for his choice or his way of handling it. I just think that the NFL will challenge you when you try to become bigger than the Shield, but at the end of the day, it's still an honor or a privilege to make that place, which I think T.O. valued. T.O. values that side of it. I just don't think he valued how it was treated of him statistically. Like, look at what I've done. I mean, I hate to say it that way in comparison, but look at my bank account. Like, look at my resume and tell me what I've done wrong to not deserve to be in the hall. And you really can't find anything statistically he did wrong. Playing his personality into it, him as a person, I mean, he played football. He just played it his way, and he got, he literally almost won a Super Bowl. Like, nothing against Philly winning recently, but him and McNabb were on pace to win the Super Bowl the year they went against New England. You just didn't have a healthy T.O. But the interesting part was after that Super Bowl loss, it kind of translated to, well, here's what T.O. did. T.O.'s working out, and it was more look at T.O. And a lot like that just ties into what I said before about anytime you do or become bigger than the Shield, that becomes a problem. We are going to take a little journey down tragedy lane for a moment. If you go back to, I won't even say high school because I think college was when the breakout occurred. Texas A&M freshman year, Johnny Manziel, aka Johnny Football. He comes to Texas A&M. He shows out. I can't say nothing, take nothing away from it. The dude showed out his freshman year. Showed out good enough where he was the first player to win the Heisman as a freshman. Right? Goes into the draft. He wasn't really picked very high. The assumption was he was looking to be a lock in lottery picks, but he wasn't. He drops down the board. He gets picked up by the Browns. Big whoop. If you have or have not heard the story, on a sidebar, the Cleveland Browns are always mocked for how many different quarterbacks have started for them since Tim Couch. I always remember this conversation because Tim Couch played for Kentucky. That was the brief. I'm a college football fan. I like Kentucky. Tim Couch is good. He's going to Cleveland. He got to Cleveland, played for a while, obviously became an analyst in the SEC. The rest is history. So they go through all these different quarterbacks who were starters. I mean, the list is long. If you ever want to look up that list, just search for Cleveland Browns quarterback starters. And it'll be a picture that shows each player that started. And you'll see Johnny Manziel on that list. Manziel wasn't getting it right in football. He went through a couple mental things, addictions, things of that nature, whatever you want, however you want to pin it. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing a lot. And if it wasn't addiction, then hold it to my head, not my heart. But he was going through a NFL or a football-based downward spiral, to put it mildly. So the CFL gave him an opportunity. And his starting performance was last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. It was either last Thursday or last Friday. I'm tempted to say it was last Friday. Yeah, it was last Friday. I would have never expected for his first game that he would throw not one, not two, not three, but 4 interceptions to start off his CFL career. And Bleacher Report was able to make a great mockery of all of this. And this is something that I've said before, and it's a gift and a curse. You cannot make a player play with their like some players just know what they're capable of, but in the reality, if it's not their time, it's not their time. Manziel could possibly be a good quarterback. Manziel just doesn't want to be treated on how to play the game. Somebody tweeted Johnny Manziel is the best linebacker in the CFL because he had to tackle, as far as him throwing interceptions, he would have to get a tackle based on that. Before I forget, because I want to make sure I bring this up. RG3 made his presence during the Hall of Fame game between Chicago and Baltimore. He's playing for Baltimore. There was big talk because, doggone it, the Ravens starting quarterback is they're kind of resting him a little bit for the regular season. So we got to see their backups, who were RG3 and the rookie from Louisville. Everyone has thought the Louisville quarterback should not be a quarterback. It was told to him time and time again. Well, he had a pretty solid performance RG3 had a real good performance. I think he threw an interception, but they in football it's odd because they clarify interceptions. There's, okay, you just threw the ball right to the guy and it was an easy catch. Versus, okay, you threw the ball to your teammate and it just slipped through his hands and happened to land into the opponent's hands. Johnny Manziel, it was the first. It was the initial of, he was throwing the ball and it was just throwing ducks and just passes would die mid-seam. But anywho, just sharing that to say that they literally, I think he ended up having not enough yards. I mean, he really didn't throw for many yards. He had 27 yards, but 4 interceptions. It was just tough to watch. So there were a lot of memes, a lot of videos, a lot of posts regarding the startup for Johnny Football. Spinning back to basketball briefly, this could have been Ass of the Week, but I got a better one later on that I'll talk about. Related to, this is J.R. Smith. He's under investigating for stealing and throwing a fan's cell phone. The New York Police Department is currently investigating Cleveland Cavs star J.R. Smith for stealing and damaging a fan's cell phone, thanks to TMZ reporting. The reported incident occurred early Sunday morning in Manhattan when a fan reportedly tried to take a picture of Smith against his wishes. The star allegedly grabbed the phone, threw it in a nearby construction zone. The victim then filed a police report, claimed that his $800 phone was damaged. J.R. Smith was not charged with a crime. He's wanted for questioning about the incident. As TMZ previously reported, the player was also accused of attacking a heckler in New York City in 2005, shortly after being traded from the New York Knicks. Police decided not to press charges due to a lack of evidence. Smith, who's a New Jersey native, is going into his 5th season with the Cavs and 15th overall in the NBA. I really hope this is a invalid story, but I mean, if he did it, just pay for the phone. That would be much easier. If it's an iPhone, he can get the information back. Just leave it at that. All right. One last good little sports tidbit, and then we're going to go into stuff. And this one is a story that I didn't think we would be talking about, but obviously we're here, so we have to get into it. Urban Meyer may not be coaching Ohio State this year. He may not be in college football this year. He may not be coaching ever again. I don't know. It's early. But my early prediction is that they need to get him up out of here. Urban Meyer was placed on paid administrative leave based on Ohio State doing an investigation. A report surfaced early in the day that Meyer had direct knowledge of domestic abuse allegations involving a now former assistant coach, knowledge Meyer had vehemently denied at the Big Ten Media Days last month. The development led to a reported meeting between Meyer and his boss, athletic director Gene Smith, Wednesday afternoon that led to further speculation about Meyer's future with the Buckeyes. A short time ago, OSU announced that it has launched an investigation into the allegations. In the interim, Meyer has been placed on paid administrative leave. They did state, and that one part that was mentioned is that Ohio State is looking to get an answer to this within a few weeks. The statements from the university and the head coach, Ohio State stated the university is conducting an investigation into these allegations. During the inquiry, Urban Meyer will be on paid administrative leave. Ryan Day will serve as acting head football coach during the investigation. We are focused on supporting our players and on getting the truth as expeditiously as possible. Typical college PR post. Urban Meyer, Athletic Director Gene Smith and I agreed that being on leave during this inquiry will facilitate its completion. This allows the team to conduct training camp with minimal distraction. I eagerly look forward to the resolution of this matter. I feel like he screwed himself over. Meyer has spent the past 6 seasons in his dream job, compiling a 73-8 record overall and a 47-3 mark in Big Ten play. The Buckeyes have won 2 conference titles and 1 national championship under the Ohio native. In April of this year, Ohio State announced that a Board of Trustees committee had approved a 2-year contract extension for their football head coach that would push his 2018 salary to $7.6 million, making him the second highest paid coach in college football. The 54-year-old Meyer is now signed through the 2022 season. If everything is true and it all checks out, they need to get him up out of there. I know that's like a very blunt and vague way of putting it, but it's the honest to goodness truth. I feel like they need to handle this. They need to handle this with a true eye and not be blind to what they see. Like that's just the worst way to do it. This is our segue. If you are here for the stuff, continue to hang around. If you only came for sports, you're welcome to leave. We will be back with some weird ads of the week information, but we're at least going to get into the stuff side of the world. Getting most of the stories prepped on my end because there were a lot of winners and losers. So I want to get everything prepared. So the first story we have is related to EVO. EVO, as many of you may or may not know, is a annual event that is short for Evolution. It's held in Las Vegas. It's usually the last weekend of July. This year was in the first weekend of August. And you get the top players in various games to come out and show their skills. And I'm not going to really give the full breakdown of all the matches because there was so many. I'm going to give the top 3 for the big events that did occur, and then we'll kind of have a little bit of discussion about some side matches and what I kind of took away from EVO personally. So this year was Dragon Ball FighterZ first showing at EVO, and they did not disappoint. Finriti came in third. Gochi came in second, and Sonic Fox came in first. Now, Sonic Fox came in first with a very interesting and unique situation to occur. And anytime you hear ruffling, you know I'm about to break some stuff down. So, in the grand finals, this was not winners finals, this was grand finals between Gochi and Sonic Fox. Gochi was sitting in the chair to the left, and Sonic Fox was sitting in the chair to the right. Now, typically in this scenario, the winner would be sitting on the left, loser would be on the right. In this case, they were in reverse. Key piece of the story, but it also is going to be an added factor to what I'm going to share. So they played the first set. And Sonic Fox, I believe, ended up losing, I want to say 3-1 or 3-0, which led to a bracket reset. Before the bracket reset, now anyone who, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, when you do a bracket reset, that basically means that if you were the winner, you're now the loser, and now you're forced where you have to win these 3 matches because the loser already won their first 3, If they win their next 3, they're automatically the champion. It's almost as though you're taking the winner and moving him to the loser's bracket to play against the person he just lost to, which is just the easier way of saying the bracket reset. Before they started the second match or the reset, Sonic Fox had a inquiry or request of sitting in seat 1. There was an indifference, an uncertainty of it. They weren't really sure. The tournament organizers, the officials weren't really sure how to handle it. Gochi was okay with it for the most part. They did a coin flip. They found a coin, flipped the coin. Sonic Fox won the flip, and he chose to sit in seat 1. He sat in seat 1 and beat Gochi 3-0. And there was a lot of controversy behind this. Part of what he was doing, which some people would say, I mean, I'm not going to say this because I wasn't on stage. I really don't know the full A to Z of it. But a lot of it looked at it was done almost as a way of freezing Gochi on his momentum. Because a lot of times when the player plays and they have momentum, it's going to show in a tournament. And in this case, there was no exception. But Sonic Fox did in fact win. I mean, he won the matches. It really didn't make a difference of where he was sitting. He just had his preference of sitting on that side, and it worked in his favor. It's gonna come up, and I think an article was sent to me related to this, that it's likely gonna be viewed or observed or assumed of, oh, well, he wanted this seat, so that way he would have an advantage, blah, 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 whatever. But if you really look at, and this probably is going to be a really, really strange way to present it. Think of when you play video games at home and you've been the second, you're playing at your house and you're the home court. Home house, but you sit in the second seat or you use the second controller. You're like, no, this is my house, my items, my routine. Let's see, because I want to see if they have the story related to this in the article that was shared with me. Okay, this time Go1 didn't mess around. Meanwhile, Sonic Fox looked like the combo dropping mess that he had been during their exhibition match. He lost all 3 of these games in a row, resetting the bracket. Go1 had 3 more games left to win, and in that moment, he seemed poised to snatch the EVO 28 trophy from Sonic Fox's paws. The drama came to a screeching halt when Sonic Fox asked EVO staffers a question. At length, the commentators learned that Sonic Fox is asked to switch chairs and positions from the right side of the screen to the left. After some debate and a coin flip, Sonic Fox got his way and ended up on the other side of the screen. Maybe that side is lucky, or maybe the lost momentum was enough to shake Go1's winning streak, or enough to snap Sonic Fox back into his sense. Whatever the reason, the chair switch gave Sonic Fox renewed strength during his first match in the final set against Go1. In that match, Go1 once again managed to get all of the Dragon Balls and once again chose to recharge his health bar. And you can guess what happened next, right? We just saw this episode. Sonic Fox chipped down every bit of Go1's renewed health and won the match. Of course, after that, Sonic Fox went on to win the final 2 matches and take home the trophy. As Sonic Fox donned his Blue Fox mask again and rapturously rolled around on the stage in delight, the camera... I don't know why I gotta make so much noise. The camera swung back to Go1, who was about to overcome the hardest possible challenge of the night. He uncrossed his arms, turned his grimace into a smile, and lifted his hands together for a polite clap. Good job, Go1. Maybe on next year's episode of Dragon Ball FighterZ, the climax will resolve in a whole new, unexpected way. So it's kind of that was kind of a lighter way of saying what I was saying, that the seating did factor, but it really didn't. So it's all in perception. So that was, I know that was supposed to be like a brief storyline of Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball kind of had the biggest suspense. Going to Street Fighter, Third place was Fudo. Second place was Tokido. And first place was Problem X. Problem X looked like a problem from the jump. Problem X only lost once, and he lost Tokido in grand finals, which they also had a reset. That match was on like literally at 2 in the morning. But Problem X kind of flipped his switch. He literally rode out the entire tournament as Bison. I was thinking that he was going to use Abigail at some point, but he didn't. Cool Kid 93 was using Abigail, and that was what knocked him out of the tournament. But Problem X stuck with Bison. Tokido and Okuma was hand in hand, but it was just a better play of Bison in grand finals. And Problem X, he's the first UK to win Pro Tour, if I'm not mistaken. He's the first to win at EVO, and this is the third year of Street Fighter at EVO. Tekken 7, this was the second year. Third place was Lil Magin from US. Second place was Kudans with UIU, and first was Low High. And that was kind of the simplest way of looking at that matchup. Smash for Wii U, Neotono was in third, Captain Zack was third, and Lima was first. And in the infamous retro Smash Melee, Plup was third, Armada was second, and Leffen was first. Hungrybox came in fourth. And let's see, because there's a lot of big names that surprised me. I'm gonna look at the Wii view, because I don't think not Naruto, but one of the other guys, he didn't place very high. He may not participate in the tournament too. But yeah, that's kind of your overall view of EVO. They did do EVO anime. So to give you all a better viewing or a better understanding, if you are looking to get any of the scores, stats, players, Smash.gg, best site to go to, kind of been like my live and die bread and butter of the community. And I usually keep up pretty well thanks to their site, especially if it's like a tournament that I'm caught part of. I'll go there to get information. I recently have not played in a while, but I'm a lover and a fan of League of Legends. And League of Legends is one of the top streamed games on Twitch. Obviously, Fortnite has kind of ran circles around it recently, but we know how that goes. But anytime if you look on Twitch, Dota 2, Hearthstone, used to be Minecraft, GTA somewhat, not really many sports games. Street Fighter is only going to be on a tournament basis, but as far as your big games that stick in the top is usually Dota, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, Fortnite, any new games that drop. Right now, you'll see a lot of Black Ops 4 beta. Before I forget, if you already have pre-ordered Call of Duty Black Ops 4, you do have the option to play the beta. I'm gonna say something, and I don't care how anyone feels about it. Call of Duty fans, y'all gotta make up y'all mind. We're gonna rewind a little bit, and we're gonna chew this up, and then I'm gonna go into this article. We had Call of Duty Ghosts. Everyone thought Ghosts was the worst game ever, right? I played Ghosts, and I personally thought Ghosts wasn't as bad as it presented itself to be. However you want to pin it, point it, whatever. We ended up getting Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I believe. So we had Advanced Warfare, we had Black Ops 3, and we had Infinite Warfare. Those were your 3 years of exosuits. We was flying. Characters was flying everywhere. Oh my gosh, people flying everywhere. I don't know why. We got to see them flying all over the place. So Call of Duty heard you. They said, okay, we'll make World War II. We're going to take it old school, make it like original Call of Duty. The reception wasn't very great to World War II, but I mean, in esports events, it still held its own. And I mean, it was a retro feel of just World War II. So you went all the way back, and now we're moving all the way ahead because Black Ops has always been known to be futuristic. Great, cool, no problem for me, no knock against it at all. The problem then is Black Ops 4 comes out, the beta's shown, the gameplay shown, and everybody's like, now that we don't have the exosuits, I really miss them. And it's like, make up your mind. What do you want? Which is it? Which is going to benefit the consumer who's actually going to play this? Do you really want the exosuits, or is it better for boots to the ground? Can't have both. My personal take on it is, if you really go back and look at Call of Duty, take Ghosts out of the equation. When Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2, original Black Ops, for giggles, I'll say Ghosts. When you had those games implemented and that style going, everything was fine. When I saw Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I did not see a lot of people playing it. And I wondered why. Now that I've seen it like in full play, I understand. And I own Black Ops 3. I like Black Ops 3. Even with the exosuits, it's a lot, but it's not a bad game. But I just want to share that and talk about it because League of Legends, the developer of League of Legends, because League of Legends has been out for quite some time, for 9 years, they are planning their next creation. Riot Games co-founder Mark Merrill told Variety it will be the same sort of fan-driven, ultra-niche title that made its initial game such a spectacular success. They haven't given a name to the game yet. They're just telling us that it's out there, which I think is great. Look forward to it. I think it'll be something new. If it comes out in the next year or two, great. Personally, we might not even see it this year because, as with any game, it's got to go through the E3 trenches, so we know how that goes. Tesla is back in the news again, I guess. Tesla's autonomous. You know what? I'm going to learn how to speak. Autonomous. I don't know why it doesn't look right. Autonomous. All right, I said it right. Tesla's autonomous coast-to-coast drive, originally promised in 2016, is on hold while the company's autopilot team stays heads down on improving the driver assist system's safety features. Elon Musk said in a call with investors Wednesday. Musk also teased a new software update to autopilot version 9.0, which is coming in September, that would be a stark improvement to the current version. Tesla built a new version of its semi-autonomous system known as autopilot in 2016 after a public breakup with original supplier of the technology. Shortly after unveiling the replacement hardware and software, Musk claimed that the company's new version, Autopilot 2.0, would be good enough that a car equipped with it would complete a trip from Los Angeles to New York without a single moment of human interface. Musk also said Tesla would be able to develop the tech fast enough to pull off its demonstration by the end of 2017, and earlier this year he said the drive would be upcoming. And that's just more information about the autopilot possible feature. But this is a story that did come up there. They're trying to just kind of keep up with the flow, but do something a little different. JBL brought out a Google powered smart display. A lot of people aren't too big on it. It doesn't really have a very beautiful display to it or look and feel behind it. But it's kind of you can call it a Google Home with a screen. It's Google Home with a screen, but it's powered by JBL. They're taking pre-orders for it. It's looking to come out next month. And it's $250. From first glance, it looks like a speaker with a camera and gives you options to do various things. The Link View is selling for $250. It functions as the function of the smart speaker is the strong point. The core selling point is the built-in Google Assistant display. The text still seems to be pretty early on, but it can be used to display the time, weather, recipes, YouTube videos, and look up the kinds of information a Google Home would normally tell you by voice. And additional Google Power smart displays are expected from LG and Sony, but there's no info yet on when they'll come along. So if you're looking to invest and have not gotten any smart displays or smart home devices, and you want to start at this level, you can definitely check out the smart display by JBL. Apple has decided that they are ending their App Store affiliate program later on this year in October. The program previously allowed individuals, blogs, YouTubers, etc. to link to an app and earn a small cut of the sale if a purchase was made. When the program first launched, affiliates would make 7% of any app purchase or a little less than 7 cents on a 99-cent app. In April of last year, they dropped that down to 2.5%. With this news, the commission is gone completely. The broader iTunes affiliate program itself will live on, but only for music, movies, books, and TV purchases. And they give a newsletter discussing it. The news hits particularly hard for indie review sites like Touch Arcade, which rely on affiliate links in their reviews for a substantial clunk of their revenue. In a post on the announcement, Touch Arcade editor-in-chief Eli Hodap writes, "I really didn't think it would be Apple that eventually kills Touch Arcade. We've reached out to Apple for further insight on the change. And we'll update if we hear back." Just something different, just a 2% story that kind of came to light, so I wanted to share it with you all. But yeah, it's something that we kind of knew was gonna. I mean, Apple is making changes with the times. It's one of those things like you really don't know whether it is or isn't coming, but we're here. So, good part is that they have other ways of you still being able to be an affiliate with Apple. All right. So I did, and I'm sitting here like, and I'm looking at my list and I'm looking at what I have, and I'm like, wait, let me make sure I put this in order. So first things first, we are at episode 200, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have never expected that we would get here. The only reason I say that I would have never expected that we would get here is because, not that I feel like I was going to quit and drop doing the podcast numerous times, because that's not the case, but the effort and the energy that I've put in and the feedback and the support that I've gotten from people for doing the podcast has been even better. There are more changes that are coming, as with anything. Anything that I do, anyone who knows me knows, it's not just going to be, all right, we're doing a podcast and we're going to change a couple things and it'll be all right. It's transitions are coming. And there's more, there's a lot more in store that I am definitely pushing to do with this podcast. I want to make it my goal to like expand the platform outside of the podcast itself. I would like to get, the interaction and exposure to the esports community, and I'm just kind of letting it all take its course and be patient, which has been my number one priority. So if you listen to episode 1, if you listen to episode 51, if you don't make it into listening to this until episode 201, which will be later on down the line, it's appreciated. Every bit of feedback, every bit of support, every bit of encouragement has been helpful. There are some rebranding things that I'm personally working on my end to do soon. I've talked to a few people about it, but it's just a matter of me getting into my personal bag and doing those things. And once that's done, you all will be obviously the podcast will be the first to know. But I just want to at least share that since we are at episode 200. The 200th episode I initially was looking to do would have been starting the podcast every day in August, but hey, shit happens. Anywho, we will still, and I think I've said this before, since we're not doing PATA, we're doing PEDS, which is podcast every day in September. So that will still make it a fun little discussion and thing to talk about. All right. Before we get to our ass of the week, and since now I'm a little bit more eclectic in listening to music, Music Sesh might be separate podcasts. I don't know yet. It's still early. I just started to listen to Mac Miller's album Swimming. I'm gonna make the suggestion because now that I'm on Spotify, I'm learning to do this. And as a listener, even on Apple Music, you can do this too. But as a listener of music, period, I would suggest this. Instead of listening to an album start to finish or 1 through 10, listen to it 8, 6, 9, 2, 3, 5, 8. Like, listen to it shuffling. Like, shuffle the album. It'll kill you. No, I'm kidding. It'll feel weird at first. And I don't know if y'all can tell or not, but the cold has been real. I've been fighting all week. All weekend, actually. But I'm good. It'll feel weird at first listening to the album that way because you're wanting to listen to it in order. But I'm going to make you think about something. If you were to listen to an album in order, if you didn't know the track listing in order, would you really know what order the songs were being played? Just think about it. Just me kind of talking about that overall. The flip side of it is I've listened to a lot of albums, and some albums I've really been just able to enjoy, just kind of sitting back and just taking a good listen. Like Travis Scott's new album, Astro World, I like it. I've played it. Mac Miller's Swimming, I need to fully listen to it. I've not listened to YG's album. I'll go ahead and say that now. Let me make sure. The prelude for Her. If you're a Her fan, you'll want to listen to the prelude. Doesn't matter if you listen to the order or not, but listen to it. And also listen to the song Lost Souls. If you're a nostalgic music fan, you'll really like Lost Souls. I'll leave it at that. Lo-fi hip hop is, I've talked about this on the podcast before. I loved Apple Music. Apple Music was home. I listened to a lot of music on Apple Music. Don't get me wrong. Generating and finding playlists on here is much simpler. Just my personal take. But lo-fi hip hop, if you need like a good study music and you actually don't want to, because the YouTube flow of it is, if you play YouTube, you got to have YouTube up. Or if you got YouTube Red, then obviously you can turn off your tablet or turn off your phone and it'll play. But if you want a station, if you have Spotify, lo-fi hip hop, wow. Just lo-fi hip hop beats. You'll thank me later. Chill hop music, I followed them anyway, and I've kind of like grown to love them. I've mentioned this already. I'm catching up on Soul Gab with Ash and Jazz as far as their podcast. They show me love. I show them love. They just did a show with Good Grievings with Tommy. I just check out that show. That's my best way I can put it. It's on iTunes. It's on podcasts. It's on Google Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's on, I can't even think of the new app because I just found it. It's on Anchor. Check them out. Check that show out. If you are in a place or in a position of not knowing how to deal with grieving, I would recommend checking that podcast out. I'll just leave it at that. He's a very uplifting and encouraging person, and I can value that to a T. So that's kind of my music session. Like I said, one last thing before I forget, and then we'll go on to Ass of the Week. It's summertime is almost finishing up, but if you are in need of an emergency playlist, You can find a little bit of the different ones, and I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the disclaimer to understand. This is a playlist for a cookout and a barbecue. Big difference. Black people and white people know what I'm talking about. It's nothing racist. It's honest. Because if you go to the cookout, you already know it's burgers and hot dogs and everything under the sun being cooked on the grill, as well as the DJ playing music and folks playing all these random games they never played. Whereas the barbecue is like a legit barbecue. And it's a more chill vibe, but you still get those good songs to throw in there as well. Hit me up. I'll share with you the links that I have on Spotify to give you kind of like that cookout barbecue playlist. And I have two of them. One is filled with 100 tracks. The other one is up to about 60 or 70 tracks. Trying to get it to about 80. I may cap it at 90. I'm not sure yet, but working on that as time progresses. So that's what I have for that. Now the ass of the week. All I'm going to say is snitches get stitches. That's the best way I can say it. An Ohio judge ordered a defendant's mouth taped shut during a courtroom hearing. And a media outlet's video caught the scene of an officer duct taping a man's face to silence him. First of all, he used red tape. That just made me laugh. It just blindsided me when I saw this story. The incident took place earlier this week when a judge in Cleveland, Ohio, ordered Franklin Williams, 32, to remain silent during his sentencing hearing, according to CNN affiliate WJW. Despite warnings from Judge John Russo, Williams continued to speak over the judge and his attorneys, according to the video. The courtroom video, shot by and first aired on WJW, shows Russo repeatedly scolding Williams for talking. Mr. Williams, Russo says on the video, "I'm the judge in the matter. Shut your mouth and I will tell you when you can talk. You got it?" Russo proceeds to tell Williams that he would like to hear from the defendant's attorney first, and then will give him a chance to speak, but Williams continues to talk. "You are trying to take my life, and you are not letting me tell you what's going on." After several interruptions, Russo then gives him the last warning. "Listen to me. If we have to, I'll gag you. You will get a chance to talk. Just zip it. You will get a chance to talk. I'm not going to give you a chance to talk." He continues to talk, and Russo orders for his mouth to be taped shut. 6 sheriff deputies walk up to Williams, and as Williams tries to get up, one of the officers is shown forcing him back down. Another officer proceeds to tape his mouth with red duct tape. The video quickly caught the attention of the American Civil Liberties Union of Ohio, which characterized the judge's actions as humiliating the defendant. "We cannot regard this as normal. It's humiliating. It doesn't just deprive this person of the opportunity to speak before his life is taken away. It steals his dignity. Everything about this is wrong." All right. I'm not going to read the rest of this because it shouldn't have gone to that point. Valid. Invalid is you had an opportunity to talk throughout the case, throughout all that went down. You decided to, I'm going to play it cool. I ain't going to talk about it. I'm good. You weren't good. And I think now it's impacted him and affected him because, he had time over his head. He ended up, I think the sentence that they gave him was 24 years. But it's like, if you had a chance to talk beforehand, you would have talked and said something then. It's a redundant statement, but it's a good statement to close out with. Excuse me. If y'all heard that, that was very attractive. Closed mouths don't get fed. No one's going to know. The left hand can't see what the right hand is doing if it's not told. You communicate when you have the opportunity to communicate. Waiting until it's too late to communicate is not going to benefit or help your cause. It's just not. That's the best and most concise way I can put it. My ending uplifting thought I have for you all is never devalue or demoralize your worth. And I'm saying that very broadly, but I'm saying that openly transparent. Because we as people have so many talents and so many skills that others at some point may be capable of seeing, but they never see it because we never share it, or we don't want everyone to know what we're doing. And you don't have to let everyone know what you're doing. Facebook does not have to know everything that you're doing. I'm sharing this now, and this may come as a surprise. It may not. Effective August 1st, I took a break. And I think I shared this already, but I'll share it again just to kind of, for my own little random 2%. I took a break from Facebook. I like it. If I go on there, like with me going on now, the most I go on and do, I clear out notifications and I go back to what I'm doing. I'm not in there commenting on stuff, liking things. I keep myself very hidden online, at least through Facebook. And I'm okay with it. So you don't have to let everyone know your moves. But if there's something that you're doing and there's something going on, nobody's going to know it's being done unless you share it. And that's what I'm going to leave y'all with today. Share your skills, value your worth. And until next time, this is episode 200 of Pass, BT signing out. If you're not following already, check me out on Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, the podcast app, TuneIn. I'm everywhere. I want everyone who's a listener to get the word and get the message, because it's a lot that's being shared and a lot more coming. Next week, the All-Star game already ended for the JBA. I believe playoffs are coming soon, so I'm going to get some research going for that. We should have some preseason action to talk about for football, break that all down. Premier League will have started, go into that a little bit, and just catch some tech. So until next time, as always, podcasts are uploaded to Spreaker.com if you're looking to get into podcasts. And y'all can tell I ain't been doing this in a while. Spreaker.com/Brate Podcast. That's where my podcasts are. If you're looking to do podcasting, go there and check it out. If you want to send me an email to get information on how to get started with podcasting, passpodcastbt@gmail.com. The microphone that I'm on, despite the thundering and the random sneezing and coughing and stuffy nose life struggle that I'm having, and foot sounds, floor sounds, thanks to the Blue Yeti microphone. If you're looking to do editing of your podcast, and I'm sharing this because I don't share this often, but I'm going to share it. Adobe Audition is what I use, but if you're starting out and you're not on a Mac and you need to get something that's convenient, get Audacity. It's free. There are tutorials for days online that will show you how to edit, how to delete, how to change anything that you're trying to do through Audacity. You can do. You just have to be open to doing it. But that's all I got. Intros and outros, thanks to Grimecraft. We're going to walk on out because I got a lot to prepare for fighting with laundry. But anywho, y'all take it easy, be good, stay safe, be blessed. The Pass signing out. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to get any information specifically based on the shows, you can go to Spreaker.com/Brate Podcast or go to www.passpodcast.com. On both of those options, you do have the information related to what topics were talked about, the timestamps for the episode, as well as the specific links related to that specific story. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, the Pass signing out. せーの、の、の、の、の。でもそんなんじゃダメ